What if I told you that the absolute main reason a man suddenly lost interest in you is precisely because you made things incredibly easy for him? You completely rearranged your schedule, you replied to his text messages within seconds, and you essentially handed him the magnificent prize of your premium attention for absolutely free. Mainstream advice tells you that being accommodating, sweet, and always available makes you wife material. But in the ruthless, unspoken reality of dark masculine psychology, being overly convenient is the ultimate kiss of death for his attraction. Today, I am going to reveal a highly guarded protocol I call the Scarcity Decree. In the next few minutes, we will completely destroy the convenient woman curse and show you exactly how to make your presence the most expensive, highly addictive luxury in his life. If you are entirely exhausted from being treated as a backup plan, drop everything and listen very closely. Welcome to Destiny's Decree.
Welcome back to your sanctuary, my dear. Today, we must examine a highly ruthless, undeniable law of human psychology that dictates absolutely every interaction in the modern dating market. We are going to apply the brutal, unyielding laws of basic economics to your emotional empire. There is a fundamental, universal principle that governs value. Whatever is remarkably abundant, easily accessible, and constantly available instantly loses its perceived worth. If your precious time, your radiant attention, and your physical presence are readily available to a man 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you are aggressively devaluing your own premium currency. You are essentially offering the exquisite, highly exclusive experience of your dark feminine energy at the incredibly cheap, convenient price of a late-night fast food drive-through. You must deeply understand that the fragile male psyche simply cannot respect what it does not have to work for. When you consistently reply to his remarkably lazy text messages within 3 seconds, or when you eagerly clear your entire weekend schedule the absolute second he casually suggests a date, you are sending a devastating subliminal message directly to his subconscious. You are visually and energetically proving that your reality is completely empty without him, and that his mere presence is the absolute center of your universe. A truly sovereign queen understands a profound truth. Her presence is categorically the most expensive luxury on the dating market. And luxury, by its very definition, is exceptionally rare. It is never on sale, and it is certainly never available on demand. To truly command his unshakable reverence and activate his deepest primal instincts, we must ruthlessly restrict the supply of your attention. However, to execute this flawlessly without appearing bitter or petty, we must first completely destroy a rather pathetic mainstream dating trend. This brings us to the profound difference between genuine dark feminine sovereignty and the childish illusion of playing hard to get. Now we must ruthlessly dismantle a remarkably foolish concept that is heavily perpetuated by mainstream internet advice. You have undoubtedly been told that to attract a man, you must play hard to get. This typically involves a rather pathetic, anxious strategy where you sit in the dark, staring obsessively at your mobile phone, simply to create the artificial illusion that you are busy. Let me be entirely brutal with you. Playing hard to get is a highly transparent, incredibly exhausting game played exclusively by deeply anxious women who have absolutely nothing else going on in their lives. A high-value man possesses a highly tuned predatory instinct. He can instantly smell the desperate, manufactured scarcity of a woman who is merely playing a childish game. A sovereign queen, firmly anchored in her dark feminine energy,
categorically does not play hard to get because she genuinely is hard to get. There is a profound, devastating difference. You are not artificially delaying your text messages to manipulate his ego. You are genuinely taking hours to reply because your magnificent empire requires your undivided premium attention. You are deeply invested in building your own wealth, curating your exclusive reality, and nurturing your profound inner peace. You simply do not possess the spare hours required to entertain a low-effort peasant who offers you absolutely nothing of substance. Your scarcity is not a petty tactic. It is the natural, undeniable byproduct of a woman who has placed her own life firmly on the highest pedestal. But what happens when you abandon this sovereignty and decide to make things easy for him? This brings us to a highly tragic phenomenon, the devastating curse of the convenient woman. Now, we must examine the absolute tragedy of what occurs when you violently violate this law of scarcity. I call this the curse of the convenient woman. Imagine a scenario that is unfortunately all too common. A man casually texts you at 10 o'clock on a Friday night, offering a remarkably lazy last-minute invitation. The anxious, highly accommodating woman will immediately cancel her own plans, abandon her evening routine, and eagerly rush over to see him. She mistakenly believes that her constant availability proves her loyalty, hoping he will eventually recognize her as wife material because she is simply so incredibly easy to deal with. Let me be entirely ruthless about how the male psyche actually processes this behavior. When you consistently drop everything to accommodate his low-effort whims, he categorically does not view you as romantic, understanding, or exceptionally kind. His subconscious mind registers a highly dangerous, devastating message. This woman has absolutely no premium life of her own, and therefore she requires zero effort to conquer. By making yourself universally convenient, you instantly demote yourself from a rare diamond-tier prize to a completely free, highly accessible backup plan. You essentially become the comfortable, cheap lounge chair he briefly rests in when he is entirely bored, rather than the majestic throne he must fiercely fight to stand beside. The harsh reality of dark masculine psychology is that men fundamentally do not respect what they can have on demand. To permanently break this pathetic curse and completely short-circuit his lazy expectations, you must master the highly tactical art of the graceful decline. This brings us to the devastating elegance of rationing his VIP access. Now, we must focus on the highly tactical physical execution of this strategy. How exactly do you restrict a man's access to your premium reality without appearing bitter, resentful, or as if you are playing a petty, childish game? The secret lies in mastering the devastating elegance of rationing his VIP access. When a man inevitably tests your boundaries by presenting you with a remarkably lazy last-minute offer, you absolutely do not launch into a furious lecture about your high standards, and you certainly do not nervously apologize for being unavailable. You simply offer a polite, freezing smile of velvet and gracefully decline, "I would absolutely love to, but my schedule is completely closed for the evening," and you leave it exactly there. You offer absolutely zero exhaustive explanations. You do not list your errands to prove you are busy, and you definitely do not anxiously suggest an alternative day right away to soften the blow. You must deeply understand that a sovereign queen never justifies the demands of her empire to a peasant. By effortlessly refusing his low-effort attempt with absolute, unbothered grace, you are actively retraining his subconscious mind. You are silently establishing a dictatorial, unshakable rule. Your presence is a highly exclusive VIP room, and to secure an audience with you, he must respect your time enough to book his place well in advance. When a man repeatedly crashes against this magnificent wall of velvet scarcity, something rather profound and highly predictable happens to his primitive male ego. This brings us to the ultimate magnificent conclusion of this dark psychological protocol, the addiction of the chase. Finally, my dear, we arrive at the absolute masterstroke of this protocol, understanding the devastating psychological addiction of the chase. You must realize that the highly matured male brain is biologically and psychologically hardwired to hunt. It categorically cannot respect nor deeply desire a prize that it did not have to bleed for. When you flawlessly execute the scarcity decree and restrict his access to your premium reality, you create a profound, terrifying vacuum of energy. The absolute second a high-value man realizes that he cannot summon you at his mere convenience, his masculine ego is violently activated. He suddenly understands that to earn a place in your majestic empire, he must step out of his lazy comfort zone. He will begin to plan elaborate dates weeks in advance. He will invest a significantly higher level of his financial and emotional currency, and most importantly, he will become entirely obsessed with the rare, magnificent hours he actually gets to spend with you. You have not manipulated him, you have simply allowed the natural, brutal laws of supply and demand to force him into his highest masculine frame. By becoming unapologetically scarce, you transition from a convenient option into an absolute, undeniable addiction. Ultimately, my dear, your time, your energy, and your presence are the most expensive commodities on the market, and it is absolutely your duty to tax them accordingly. Never ever offer the luxury of your dark feminine energy at a fast food price. Now, I have a rather vital question for you. What is the absolute most ridiculous, low-effort, last-minute date invitation a man has ever dared to offer you? Expose his remarkable audacity in the comments below. I always read every single one. If you are entirely ready to permanently destroy the convenient woman curse and truly master the lethal dynamics of dark feminine psychology, ensure you elegantly subscribe to Destiny's Decree and firmly ring the notification bell. Until next time, keep your borders heavily guarded and let him earn the right to see you.